watched this debate between Piers Morgan and Candace Owens, and I got to tell you, it was a delight to watch. For a couple of reasons. There are two people, Candace Owens and Piers Morgan, who are equally frustrating to watch, equally unreasonable on certain issues. Lately, Piers has been getting on my nerves even more than Candace. And Piers is so obnoxious on the Israel question. Ever since October 7th, Piers has been carrying the water for Israel. Even when he had to kind of acknowledge the genocide, he goes, well, what do you expect Israel to do? I don't know, not genocide people. So to bring Candace Owens on, and usually he and Candace are on one side of the fence and I'm on the other side. I know that's like where you know, I'm debating Candace and him. But this time, they were on opposite sides of the aisle. And so Candace squares off against Piers Morgan, and it was interesting. I want to show you just a little a significant piece of this, and I'm going to interrupt at times so you can, because I want to break down exactly what Candace did, and I want to show you exactly how Piers responded, because I think it's super, super interesting. Watch this.
The larger discussion that's happening right now is whether or not having survived a Holocaust gives you the permission to commit a Holocaust. And for whatever reason, people have been, what I would say, milking the Holocaust narrative in the same way that Black Americans were milking the slavery narrative, and essentially saying, like, we lived through this and we survived this. And so now nobody can say that anything we do is wrong. And that's the big issue today, is that we have so many people that will not recognize that it.
Now, let me pause here, because it's really important. It's really important to also point out where Candace is doing some bullshit. She said people are milking the Holocaust narrative, and people are milking just like people were milking the slavery narrative. Okay. Black people are not milking the slavery narrative. And Black people have never argued that because we were enslaved, nothing we do is wrong. What Black people have argued is because we are enslaved, we absolutely are structurally disadvantaged, that we have been denied access, we've been dispossessed, and that something needs to be done to repair the damage that has been done. It's a reparations argument. That's what it is. It's not to say that all our behavior is defensible or explainable, and none of that. That's ridiculous. That's a right-wing ridiculous talking point. And similarly, I don't think that the Holocaust is being milked. I think it's important to talk about the Holocaust. I think it's important to never forget the Holocaust. The Holocaust is one of those again, morally indefensible atrocities, one of the greatest atrocities in human history. We shouldn't pretend that the Holocaust didn't happen. We should never forget the Holocaust. What we can't do, though, is let the Holocaust become a pretext for, as she said here correctly, prosecuting another Holocaust. And that's where she slips into the territory of actually being correct again. This is important.
It is totally feasible that a Jewish person, and I'm speaking here about Bibi Netanyahu, could do something as horrific as what was done to the Jews throughout World War II or throughout history.
But is that an accurate comparison? I'll tell you why I say that. As we know, I mean, whatever Dan Bilzerian wants people to believe, 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. Another 6 million people were murdered by Hitler and the Nazis. The numbers of people being killed in Gaza are, in my view, have gone way beyond what is acceptable as a response to October the 7th. However, you're still talking about, at the moment, a death toll of under 50,000. There's no comparison.
What? You know how fucking stupid that is? First of all, it's not 50,000. It's not 50,000. Again, the numbers are way higher than that. But even if it were 50,000, are you saying it's not a Holocaust until 6 million died? There are 2.2 million people in Gaza. If that's your logic, that it's not noteworthy and that it's not a Holocaust, or that it's not a moral atrocity at the level of the Holocaust until 6 million people die. There's only 2.2 million people in Gaza. By that logic, you could kill everybody in Gaza and still couldn't make a comparison. 50,000 people is enough. This is not about numbers. There is no numbers cutoff for being a genocide. There is no numbers cutoff for satisfying the legal or moral or even historical standards for being a genocide. This does not Makes sense. If you killed 1,000 people because they were Palestinian, that would make it a genocide. Stop it. But what Piers like to do is move the goalposts, shift the argument. So now it's really what he's saying is this as bad as the Nazi Holocaust? No one is saying it's better or worse. I don't want to compare atrocities that way. This one's better. This one's worse. These are all awful things that shouldn't happen and are preventable. And instead of pointing out the fact that by his measure, 50,000, but probably hundreds of thousands of people are dead, instead of pointing to that, he's saying, yeah, but it's not 6 million. It's not 6 million. You can't prove it's not 6 million. These are the media tricks that they do. People like Piers Morgan. And this is why I show y'all stuff like this. It's not to highlight Piers Morgan or to celebrate Candace Owens. It's to show you how these media tricks go. But Candace holds steady here.
In the amount of dead people compared to the Holocaust. So do you understand why?
But it is a Holocaust, what's happening.
Well, is it though?
Yes.
Well,
I think language is really important.
I think language is really important as well. And that's
people
why
say Holocaust, genocide,
I think what's happening is a Holocaust. The burning bodies of the children that I'm seeing every day, and we spoke about this a little bit on my show, but I have recognized that the ability to see this stuff every day has transformed my opinion. Maybe the numbers wouldn't have gotten so high if people had spoken up when it was happening at the very beginning during World War II. And so I want to use my platform to say that I believe that they are intentionally executing a Holocaust. I think Bibi Netanyahu, there's tons of evidence, and obviously the Western media is not reporting on this, but the corruption trials that are going on with Bibi Netanyahu pertaining to October 7th and him editing the transcripts and the prior knowledge that he knew is now becoming extremely pertinent. It is a question as to whether or not he allowed the attacks to take place, essentially to then be able to go in and to commit this Holocaust against the Palestinians. Now, based on everything that
he hates that she's saying Holocaust over and over again. It's driving him crazy. And he has a nerve to say language is important. You damn right language is important. You're damn right, Piers.
I've looked into and stuff that I had not seen before because the Western media doesn't cover it. Bibi Netanyahu caught off camera speaking about how he had no intention of following the Abraham Accords and how he was going to get around it. He has, I believe, genocidal ambitions, and that's enough. We don't need to dispute, go backward or forward. Do I think Bibi Netanyahu has genocidal ambitions against the Palestinians? The answer is yes.
And that's how you handle that. That's how you handle that. And Candace went on to dog walk Piers Morgan over and over and over again in this interview. And as much as he tried to move the goalpost, as much as Piers Morgan tried to make this an impossible position for Israel, he said at one point, what do you want Israel to do after Hamas did all that? Again, which is besides the point. Candace said, just go after Hamas. If you think Hamas caused this thing and you want to defend yourself against Hamas, go after Hamas. You don't go after schools. Don't go after mosques. Don't go after children. Just go after the people who did it. But you're not going after them. You're going after Hamas. You're going after innocent women and children. You're going after... Piers had no answers. And I think that this is a lesson in how to function within these spaces. Be consistent. Hold your ground. Don't let them change the terms of the debate. Don't concede to ridiculous points. And this leads us to another dangerous place, though. Right? If you're part of the Palestinian liberation movement, if you're a pro-Palestinian, I think, first of all, the primary voice, if not the exclusive voice that should be on these spaces, is Palestinians. On my platform, on Al Jazeera, I do everything I can to make sure there's a Palestinian on there every week, not a person like me, not a white guy, not a, I try to keep the stakeholders involved and have them speak for themselves. That's first. But if you're going to have someone non-Palestinian on there, you got to make sure that it's someone who doesn't just have the right argument at this moment. In other words, Candace is right, and she's dog walking Piers Morgan, but she's also slipping in arguments about slavery being milked by Black people, right? So you want to make sure the person's politics actually align. So while I can get real joy from watching them eat each other, I can get real pleasure from watching Candace Owens chop up Piers Morgan, I also would say, hey, that doesn't mean bring Candace Owens on to defend the Palestinian position, because bringing her on to defend the Palestinian position means you're also getting a perspective that doesn't meet our ethical or moral standards, that doesn't share our freedom dreams. You're getting somebody who doesn't share our values. And ultimately, that argument will break down somewhere when you get to what does the end goal look like. So please, I'm happy that Candace is chopping up Piers Morgan, but let's be clear, she ain't us. She's not on our political side. I'm not saying she's not black. I'm not saying she's not any of those. I'm saying she ain't on our political side. She's not one of us politically, and therefore we should not romanticize her position. I know you're saying, Mark, you're the one putting her up here. I am. I'm putting her up here because I think it's an important critique to make, and I think it's important to know that where these critiques are coming from and how to critique those critiques. But that doesn't mean she's us. Just not us. It's really that simple. All right, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all go. The Wi-Fi is crazy. I'm sick. I'm gonna take it as a sign from the Lord that we should go. But before I do, I'm gonna take these super chats. Digger said, "Do you think Spades is a better game than Bidwist?" Yes, I don't think there's a better card game than Spades. Daniel said, "Imagine the clown you have to be to defend Candace. You paid $2 to say that." I'm not defending Candace. I'm trying to stay hydrated. I'm sick as hell, yo. I said not to get all Candace and conspiratorial, but I think we're probably trafficking the babies too. Joe watched his daughter. I'm not reading the second part of that, but the top of it, was there trafficking happening with the judge? I don't know what was happening with the judge. I think it was as simple as for-profit prisons and the judges getting paid to send people to for-profit prison. I think it's really that simple. I don't think it's human trafficking. I don't think it's anything sexual going on with it. I disagree with that. I don't put anything past anybody in American politics, but that doesn't seem to be, based on the evidence, based on the research that others have done. There's been no mention of that. There's been no sign of that. So I don't want to add stuff to the mix that ain't there, because there's plenty of creepy shit that is there. Oh my God. Bill Williamson said, "Sorry for asking. Can you inform us more on Indigenous people? I want to learn more." It's funny you say that. One, I hope you see my interview with Nick Estes that's posted on the channel now. We did about Indigenous rights, but we have actually. It's funny. My producer, one of my booker here at Night School, actually, we were just talking yesterday about bringing in some experts to talk about Indigenous rights movements, Indigenous activism, and some of the organizations that are doing work not just in the United States, but also especially in Canada. So absolutely, Bill, we will be doing that. I appreciate you saying that. I want to take Ed Liddell on his comment on it. Says the only Palestinian Piers Morgan had on the show was that crazy. Oh yeah, you talking about the guy I debated? I can't think his name, Musab something. But yeah, the son of Hamas. No, he's had other. That's not fair. Piers has had other Palestinians on other than the son of Hamas. I'm pretty sure. I can think of 2 or 3 people who have been on. Has no Etiquette been on there? I know Linda Sarsour has been on. He's had others on, but I get your point. It ain't been enough. There haven't been enough. And that's not unintentional, is all I'll say. I want to shout out Ed, Isaac Hemsey for gifting 10 memberships. Ed, Isaac, thank you so much. Isaac Hemsey, thank you so much for 10 memberships. Hopefully y'all grab the memberships up, yo. But family, we need your support. So if other people want to match Isaac's generosity, I appreciate that too. But thank you. And yes, Nora would absolutely dog walk that man. He wouldn't even let Nora talk if she was on it. That's the point. That's the whackness of that platform, is that they don't give voice or space rather for the real voices. All right. Yep. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, interrupting is Pierce's favorite thing. I'm telling you, if you agree with him, you can talk uninterrupted. If you disagree with him, you get maybe half a word out, half a sentence out. It's crazy to watch.